In 1979, I began the investigation into the Catherine Janet Walsh homicide, and I worked it for a long, long time. And in 1981, one of the 5 main suspects in the case, or persons of interest, had moved to Whittier, California. He was out there for a while, came back, and then he returns back in 1982. So I contact Whittier, California, and we're going back in 1982 again, and talked to a detective by the name of Mel Otterman. I asked him if he had anything similar to the type of homicide that we had. It really hit with him because he had a young girl by the name of Blanca Negrete who had been killed. She was slightly younger than Janet Walsh, but she was living alone in her own apartment. She was strangled and murdered, and there were a lot of similarities. So Otterman and I kept in touch, trying to see if we could somehow put my suspect into Miss Negrete's lifestyle. And nothing ever developed on that at the time, but we kept tabs on that suspect. And when he came back, he was interviewed by the state police and the Monaca police. He was always fairly cooperative with us, and he became a successful businessman and moved away again from the Monaca area. But in 2010, I contacted Whittier, California again, and Detective Otterman had retired by that time. It had been given to a detective by the name of Chad Hepner, but he calls me back and says, I read through this entire case, and there is no DNA in here. I told him, Chad, I know your case as well as I know the Janet Walsh case, and I even have copies of some of this stuff. So I faxed him a copy of a letter where Detective Otterman told us that there was a rape kit taken in the Negrete case. And he went to where they keep all their evidence. They asked, is this out there? Do you have this somewhere? They looked, they couldn't find it. The oldest guy in the evidence room overhears the conversation, and he tells Hepner, way back then the coroner's office kept the rape kits on a homicide case. He gets in his car, drives to the coroner's office, and finds out that all this time the rape kit had been kept by the coroner's office in Los Angeles County and kept properly, and so he now had his hands on the rape kit. The DNA sample was taken. The DNA sample was sent to Hepner out in Whittier, California, and a short time later he called me up and told me it's not our guy, and it was not our suspect in the Walsh case either. It turned out that when we later got our DNA, it eliminated this same guy. Even though it was not our suspect, he put it into CODIS, and they get a hit in CODIS, and they got a hit from a man by the name of Joseph Allen Thornton, and they found out with a little good detective work that Joseph Allen Thornton was a classmate of Miss Negrete. By the time they put the whole investigation together, we were in March of 2012. They tracked him down and arrested him in April of 2012, and they charged him with the homicide in California. In February of 2015, I got a note from Detective Hepner, and what he wanted to tell me was that he was 6 years old when Blanca Negrete was murdered, but he was very happy with what he was able to do with that case, and Mr. Thornton pled guilty and will probably spend the rest of his life in prison in California.